day to everybody. I hope you're all doing well today. And here we are in Amsterdam, Schiphol, on the cargo apron, or one of the cargo aprons, for a freighter flight today between Amsterdam and Barcelona. So here they are on the ground, loading all the cargo. That's a real world flight, Emirates 9969 between Amsterdam and Barcelona. The pilots are going up the stairs. Very nice. So no cabin crew on this one, I believe. I'm not sure how GSX is gonna do this, but I think it should be only pilots today. I got some of the pilots to come on. Oh, very good. Looking outside, it's quite a nice day, just a few clouds around. The weather forecast is a little bit wilder than what it shows here. Looks like some sort of a dispatcher about to come up the stairs. So that's not bad. The aircraft has already been refueled, so we are good for that. Yeah, here we are. If we have a little look around. So yeah, it's the cargo apron. And then if we have a look around, I can kind of recognize Schiphol Tower there. Amsterdam, I believe, probably in the background there. That's runway 24, so all good. Alright, so we'll send him for the walk around at -40.
I'm out for the walk around.
So it kind of sounds like a German accent, so to speak, so it's not too bad. So we go on the Adiru, emergency exit lights armed. And yeah, that's pretty much it at this stage. We can't really reset the master system, so for the data link. So we'll go straight into the FMC on the freighter. The model there shows us a 200.4. The freighter is actually almost like a 200LR. It's the same aircraft with just a few differences. And the nav data today is still 2002, and it's basically today is almost the last day. Tomorrow will be the transition date. Every Thursday, the ARAC changes all the time on a Thursday, so not every Thursday because it lasts for like 4 weeks, but it always changes on a Thursday. So I do remember the time when we had like paper charts, like Friday, the Thursday for the ARAC change was, always on a Thursday, so it was like Thursday charts. Anyway, we are in Amsterdam today. If I want to go at 9:45, I'm gonna have to hurry up a little bit, but there's no rush actually. So, and I could always request the route. The list is ever growing, and it's from EHAM to LEBL 01. Will request. Actually, I've got to check if some of those older routes are still valid or not, because some of them I've had saved in here for quite some time. So, right, so the route uplink is ready. So we'll load the uplink. One of those days, maybe we'll do a walk around as well, but maybe when I've got a little bit more time. Oh, today it's the 9969, which is a real world flight found on FlightAware, and we'll go from runway. Hold on, we're not gonna do the runway yet. So then for the route, we'll check with the flight plan. Although the route is saved, you still have to kind of check that. That's what you have in the FMC. So we can see we got Woody, that's correct, November 872 to Medill, per November 872 to Covin, per Mike 728 to Resmi, per November 857 to Dirmo, and then upper November 855 to Perpignan, and upper Papa 84 to Albert. So that's all correct, it's all in there. So we can activate and execute. Then on the Perfinet, like always, I'll reject the uplink here. Put the reserve from the flight plan as 6.7. Oops. 6.7. Sorry, just as a reminder, the reserves here is the diversion fuel to the alternate we filed, and then the last 30 minutes. 350 is going to be our cruise altitude. Index, like always, 120 here, and for the takeoff we'll preset 3000 feet, and yeah, 1000 I guess is alright. Cool. Then on the departure arrival, we're gonna go for runway 24 today. Makes it like the shorter taxi, I guess, as well. And we go for the Kutas is it the 1 Sierra? Hold on, I thought it was something else, unless they are not. Runway 24, let me see that again. And then yeah, the Sierra Yankee, that's the one. Cool. And execute. So then we'll have a look at the departure with the EFB as well. And then we'll set the EFB. So we'll go to departure. And go to select SID. Runway 24. And it's the Kutas 1 Sierra there. Okay. And activate. It's gonna be a bit of a crosswind takeoff, but yeah, in Amsterdam it's not too bad actually. So we go first to the EH, where the 095 doesn't really, yeah, it shows here actually 095, that's correct. Then the 125, the 126 with the speed limit is there. The 039 is there as well to Leco. Okay, got to undo this. And then from Leco to Kudad, that's correct. And then to Woody, so that all makes sense. It's all in there. So that's good. So I can close that. After that, let me change this back to legs, road data, reload with the winds. So the winds are ready, there's a sample of winds, so that's good. And then the descent forecast is ready as well, so we'll go to the descent page, forecast, and load the winds there. Cool, NAVRAD, no need really. Progress page 699, and the flight plan gives us a distance of 706, so that's without the arrival, so that seems to be good. We do a route copy to route 2 and back to route 1. No outstanding uplinks, that's good. So this one can stay on the legs page, and here this one we'll put on the Perfinet. Go back to the map mode. Up here It's a low QNH today. I'll use the B function. It's 996 now. The rest is good. We got the airport display and everything. Flight actor comes on. Runway track. I think it's 238. Yeah. It's kind of important to set the runway track there, because if you have an engine failure, then you go track select and at least you're pointing straight ahead instead of going in some funnier directions. It's always a good idea. Right, and we'll go all the way to 350 since I'm not connected once again to any ATC or online network, so that's good. Check the oxygen. All these little switches there are good. The PFD shows toga toga. Flight vector is up. Good QNH. The navigation display as well is set. I'll reduce the range there to 10 miles. And come down here on the center pedestal. All the levers and parking brake is set. Yeah, and everything is the way it's supposed to be. Good. Excellent. Let's see how it's getting on.
I'm back from the walk around. Everything looks good.
Excellent day. And in the meantime, we'll brief FS to crew like always, so that it knows what we're gonna do. So we're going from a stand transponder. We're gonna use reduce thrust, flaps 5, packs on, anti-ice. For the moment it's dry, so it's not required. NADP will put it's not required actually. Accelerating at 3000 SID.
I'm ready for the checklist.
Weather and terrain. So he's briefed and he's ready for the checklist. We've got the fuel. Yeah, let's do it. Pre-flight checklist.
Pre-flight checklist. Oxygen.
Tested 100%.
Tested 100%. Flight instruments.
Heading 328, altimeter 996. Set and checked.
Heading 328, altimeter 996. Pre-flight checklist complete.
So once again from the flight plan. 0 fuel weight 213.2. With 18.9 of fuel gives us a gross weight of 232.1 minus the taxi fuel. Yeah, that makes sense. That's fine. Assumed temperature is 58. It's gonna give us climb 2 and almost 88% in 1, which is alright. It's a long runway. Engine acceleration is 1000. Acceleration height is 3000. Thrust reduction 1000. Flaps 5. CG from PMDG is 27. Okay. And the speeds we're gonna have, although I put wet speeds, it's not really dry, it's not really wet, but just in case it starts raining. 135. Not sure it's gonna take it. No, there's too much of a gap. Okay. So I'll take that then. 144. 147 is what it was giving me, and 153. Oh, beautiful. Let's see actually if with the dry speeds, if they're the same, because the rotate and the V2 are exactly the same. Yeah, PMDG is giving exactly the correct speeds there. Amazing. Very good, huh, Fox? That's interesting to see. Then check 250 below 100 actually. So the transition in Amsterdam is very low. I think it's 3000. Yes. 3000, 350. It's not recommending again 350, but we'll see how we get on with that later on. So V2153, I'm sure it's gonna climb like a rocket. And now VNAV for the departure on the track, and the cruise level already set. So when the APU is online, then the secondary external power will go to available as it is now, and then we disconnect the primary, and then we're good to disconnect. Ground flight deck. Ground flight deck.
Go ahead.
Please disconnect the ground equipment.
Roger.
Ground flight deck.
Go ahead.
Can we pressurize hydraulics?
Roger, you're clear to pressurize the hydraulics.
Before start procedure.
Are we clear to pressurize?
Yes.
Okay.
And it's starting raining now. Amazing. Good stuff you need to study. Purple 321. Take time to study, man. I feel like I'm studying here in my time off. No, it's good fun actually. I quite like it, but
I'm ready for the checklist.
let me check the trim. The trim was supposed to be 4.25. It's already set at 4, so just one notch down, 4.25. Before start, checklist.
Before start checklist. MCP.
Set and checked.
Takeoff speeds.
Set and checked.
CDO preflight.
Completed.
Completed. Trim.
Set and checked.
Taxi and takeoff briefing.
Completed.
Before start checklist complete.
We need to close this one. I know it's closed. I know I closed all the doors. Good man. Okay, cool. Ice warning. They request the de-icing treatment. No.
Due to icing conditions, please stand by for engine start until push completed and brakes set.
No, that's rubbish. Unless
Strobes off.
That's utter rubbish. You can, unless it's totally icy or anything, but if it's just kind of raining, you can start the engines while you're pushing. It's not a problem. If obviously the apron is like an ice rink, then that's a different matter. But if it's just a little bit raining and it's like less than 10 degrees, so theoretically icing conditions, it's okay to start the engines during the push. It's not a big issue. So rain with a bit of blue sky, it's amazing. So the nose is gonna go to the right.
Departure check completed. Bypass pin inserted. Release parking brakes.
Off we go. We are 5 minutes late.
Due to icing conditions, please stand by for engine start until push completed and brakes set.
No, I'll start the engines. Bad boy. Start the right engine.
Starting right. Oil pressure.
Check, At least he's not saying oil pressure. And hopefully J6 is not gonna go crazy because I'm starting the engines. Wrong side. Sounds like the number 2 has started. Start the left engine.
Starting left.
So the start switch is like always goes to start and the fuel control switch to run.
Oil pressure.
So he's doing a good push today, it's nice. In the right direction.
Set parking brakes.
So
Waiting your confirmation for good engine start.
coming. 2 good engine starts. Flaps 5.
Flaps 5.
Unlocking gear. Tow truck disconnected. Bypass pin removed.
So he's kindly offering the flight control page. So I'll increase the size of the control column. Check down, up,
Left is clear.
left, and right. And the engineer is saying he's clear. Let's see where he is. There's nobody around. The engineer is walking away there. He's gonna wave with the pin. Bitey bye bye. And check the rudder. Left, right, center. Cool. Before taxi checklist.
Before taxi checklist. Anti-ice. Auto. Recall. Checked. Flight controls.
Checked.
Ground equipment.
Clear.
Before taxi checklist complete.
Right, so let's see if it's still raining. No, it stopped raining, so we'll leave the engine anti-ice on auto, to be honest. Because that was just a quick shower there, but yeah. Clear left.
Clear right.
Alright, here we go. Let's follow the taxi with the EFB. We'll go along initially a Romeo and then join Bravo.
Okay.
So like always, kind of need about 26-27% N1 to get it moving, and after that you kind of need to keep a little bit of thrust, otherwise it kind of slows down. Let's see, I'll try to bring the thrust to idle, see if it keeps the momentum a little bit. So here there's not gonna be any cabin ready. So first of all, let me reduce this one. I'll go on the weather display, on the navigation display there. Before takeoff checklist.
Before takeoff checklist. Before takeoff checklist complete.
Checklist complete. So yeah, we'll just taxi all the way down Bravo, I believe. That's it, yeah. So you see, if you bring the thrust to idle, it slowly loses the speed for some reason. Whereas the real thing will just keep accelerating, above all if you're very light, like we are here. So I'll put in a little bit of kind of background thrust here to get it moving. Looking at the weather radar on the opposite direction, which is actually not of much use, but just to see if something paints on the radar on those, just those little like green returns, which in real wouldn't be much to worry about, to be honest. So that's good. So this one here is Sierra 4, so we're not gonna take that one. We're not gonna take Sierra 5 or Sierra 6, we'll go to Sierra 7, which is alright. So we're all set. We did the before takeoff checklist. We're good to go. It's still dry, so it was just a quick shower, but it doesn't look too bad. So we'll just assume there was just a little bit of rain, but it's not really getting the taxiway or the runways wet, so we are good. Sierra 7, we're clear to line up and wait. Runway at 24. So line up and wait, runway at 24. It's clear on the left.
Approaching 24.
Runway entry procedure.
Check.
On runway 24.
Come on a little bit. Come on a little bit far on the turn there.
On runway 24.
Whoa. Alright. Cool. Let's go. Takeoff.
Check.
Thrust ref.
Check. Thrust set. $80 knots.
Hold.
Check.
V1.
Rotate. Positive climb.
Gear up.
Gear up.
LNAV.
Check. 400 feet.
Autopilot.
Check.
Thrust ref.
Check.
VNAV speed.
Check. Climb.
Off we go. Woohoo, it's climbing like a rocket. Transition altitude, altimeters reset standard.
Standard set.
Flaps 1.
Speed checked, flaps 1.
Flaps up.
Speed checked, flaps up.
After takeoff checklist.
After takeoff checklist. After takeoff checklist complete.
It's interesting because it seems like he's coughing just as a reminder that there's something to be done. I've kind of noticed, I'm not 100% sure about that, but it kind of sounds like it. You can hear in the background. Schiphol Airport. So yeah, it's straight away to climb level 340. I'm speaking initially to Amsterdam radar, and then possibly onto Maastricht, which would cover also Belgium, and then to France with I believe initially Reims control, and then
Flight level 100.
Brest possibly, and then with Bordeaux control all the way down. Seatbelt sign auto.
Seatbelt signs auto.
Obviously a freighter, if it's only 2 guys flying and there's no supernumerary crew like a loadmaster, or if sometimes carrying like animals or things like that, there'll be maybe vets, or but if it's just us, then the seatbelt, just to keep the flow going, will kind of come off at the usual times, but obviously it's not really important because there's nobody else in the plane. That's pretty much the end of the SID here, so let's go back to the fuel view. So you can see with the EFB, it kind of follows the departure quite nicely. It's I really like it, you know. It's not complete because you don't get the whole information about, like, for example, the initial level and things like that. But the route is correct, the routing is correct, and yeah, everything else is, you know, it kind of moves along. It's very nice. Well, so at least today it's daytime. Yesterday was kind of a night flight, but today is daytime, so it's a little bit better. And as expected initially, a bit of kind of crosswind in the climb, and in the first part of the flight, so it's not bad. So as I was explaining yesterday, regardless of the cost index, most of the time at kind of normal takeoff weights, the climb speed, the econ climb speed is 320 knots. However, the descent speed depends a little bit on the cost index. With a high cost index, then it's going to be a high descent speed, very often around 340 knots, something like that. but if it's a lower cost index, then the descent speed will be a little bit lower, maybe 280. If you've got like cost index 10, then the descent speed can be, I don't know, 260 sometimes. Once we get the cruise, we'll have a little chat about the freighter itself, because there's a few differences. I kind of brushed on the differences the other day on the Vienna to Zurich flight, and a little bit as well on that return flight I did like a couple of weeks ago, but if you were not there, then I'll just talk about it again a little bit. What I found out as well recently is that if you go to the menu here and you go to FS sections, you go to ground operations, if you customize the turn type here and then you set the time to 35 minutes, I think, you can play with the fueling, and with GSX it will kind of simulate. It will like bring you the refueler to the aircraft, and then the refueler will simulate along with PMDG like the intake of fuel. It will take, I don't know, 10 minutes to refuel the aircraft or something like that. If you're a little bit if you want to do it quicker, then you can go to fuel and set the fuel directly here, of course. So that's quite, if you want to adapt to a little bit of realism and you've got a little bit of time to kind of look around what's happening during the flight preparation, then that's something to consider. Here we are, 350, approaching, I think that's Brussels, Charleroi, a place called Chièvre, Lille in the north of France, Ostend on the North Sea coast of Belgium. Very familiar grounds, actually. Nice. Yeah, Barcelona is good. I used to work a little bit out of Barcelona like a few years back, so good memories of Barcelona. And it's actually not very far from home, actually, so it's good. So yeah, 10:19 in the morning, Zulu time. Hey, Memes and Dreams, thank you very much for the comment. Thanks, appreciate it. That's what it's about. I've got my head at the moment around one tutorial, but that's kind of I'm still trying to think about how to pull it together. So yeah, I'm working on it, but hopefully it's not going to take me too long to publish it and pull it together first of all, and then publish it. But I am trying to kind of find a way to organize it. It's a bit of a wide topic, and I'm trying to keep it simple enough without overcomplicating things, but at the same time try to be a little bit thorough, and so we'll see how that works out. Very good question. I like those questions. That's instead of me rambling on, and I know I'm very interesting and I've got very interesting things to say, but it's good to have questions, because it kind of allows me to kind of discuss a few things along the way. The three buttons, which I suppose you mean these three buttons here we're talking about. These we don't really touch normally. They remain in this position, and they basically here as a backup if there's like some sort of display failure with either like an ADIRU problem or like a P2 problem or something like that. As you can see here, you've got air data and ATT, which probably stands for attitude, so display control and nav. So yeah, whenever you've got a problem with the ADIRU or sometimes the P2, they ask you to kind of press the button here and kind of change the logic of the system. But otherwise, yeah, you wouldn't touch these, and you would touch these only when directed by a checklist. So, and actually, sometimes it tells you not to touch these, you know, just in case, because they might mess up things. So, yeah, you've got to be a little bit careful with these. Can you get a free chart maps online, or is there only payware? No, it's actually a lot of the aviation authorities publish their national AIP, so the Aeronautical Information Publication or something like that for what stands. Yeah, so a lot of websites. You will find a lot of websites with all the charts. For example, the UKCA has a website where you'll find all the charts pretty much. The French as well have got a website. Pretty much every country, at least in Europe, you'll find the charts for free. If you want something a little bit more specific to, I wouldn't say specific to pilots, but the kind of more common ones like Jefferson or Lido, then for that you'll definitely need like a subscription. But if you want to access like the AIP websites, then you're good. So memes are dreams, for your question about anti-ice. The anti-ice on the 777 is actually quite nice. The anti-ice panel is up here, and basically you only turn it on the ground, as you quoted correctly, when the temperature is below 10 degrees and there's obviously moisture or like rain, snow and all that stuff. And yeah, you would only turn it on the ground, and you would only really turn on the engine anti-ice. Sorry. Sorry about the view. Yeah, you would only turn on the engine anti-ice on the ground. The wing anti-ice we never really use, so it stays on the auto position. But the engine anti-ice would come on the ground in icing conditions, and then when the flaps are up in the climb, then you switch them back to auto. And then if at any stage during the flight, the system detects that there are icing conditions and you are going into cloud or anything like that, and you're picking up ice in the clouds, then the system will automatically switch the anti-ice on. So therefore that's why it remains kind of in the auto position, because it will do it automatically. And then once you land, then you would switch it on manually again to taxi in all the way to the gate. So no, you don't have to turn it on when descending. During the approach, it stays in the auto position. Does it make sense? Yeah. And as I just texted here, you can I've got a video like explaining a little bit how it works. Paris, Paris, oui oui. Ooh. Paris. Yeah, I don't know if we're gonna see the Eiffel Tower there. That's Paris. Oh yeah, here is the Eiffel Tower there. Amazing.